The stories definitely mirror things that are happening in the world now. I think that, unfortunately, it mirrors things that have been happening in the world for, probably thousands of years. I think when you start dealing with media and propaganda and battles of, over the airwaves, I think that's more of a modern idea, but something that we see all the time. But I think you'll find as the story progresses that the stories itself are not so black and white, and that it's, I think it's much more about the idea that when in war, it's always messy. It's not black and white. It's much more sort of shades of gray, and it's never very clean, and there's always consequence. So I think, quite honestly, with the stories, that's the important thing to take from it. What we decided to do, we started talking to Lorde about creating a song for the soundtrack. And she and I had some conversations, and then from that, we decided it would be interesting if she completely curated the soundtrack. So part of the deal was, we're not going to vote on people she wants to go on the album. This is entirely up to her, as long as the songs are appropriate for the movie. She gets to choose the songs, she gets to choose the type of music, she gets to choose the artist she wants to work with, and that's what she did. Those were all her choices. So it's all from the mind of Lorde.
It was great coming back to work, and it really did feel like a different film this time. Particularly for me, because the last two, I had bits and pieces throughout, the first two films, and then this one, Gail's much more heavily involved in the whole thing, and you get to see a whole different dynamic from him. His relationship with Katniss has changed a lot. You start to see the separation between those two, and kind of the conflict that they have about their different outlooks on what's happening. And it was just great to come to work and be with all these people again. We did a lot of training with guys that were ex-military men, and various tactical training, learning how to clear rooms, and just talking to them and in general about how you go about that sort of thing. We're lucky enough to have someone like Francis who you completely give yourself to, and he knows the story back to front, and you can always feel really, really comfortable that he's gonna, do it justice.
For those people who are familiar with the book, like where we pick up Mockingjay Part 1, the characters have been on such a sort of hellish journey through catching fire that they're all kind of broken, and it's a matter of kind of piecing them back together. And I think as a collective, like, every character has much more of an emotional punch this time, and the stakes are a lot higher. There's much more to live for and to die for, and I think it immediately puts more pressure on your shoulders, I think, to kind of approach a character in a different way.
Yeah, he has very few. Actually, I'm not sure he has any redeeming qualities, which was why I was asked to play him. A character like that is really very satisfying to play, and I think the key thing, no matter how oily or how duplicitous a character is, I think or flamboyant. The key thing is to make them as human as possible. And you have to dig deep to find the humanity in him, but it's there. It's a pleasure to play this character, and I was very sad when it was all over. It was real fun. The extreme behavior of the people in the Capitol in their sartorial choices and ethical choices are even more exaggerated in Caesar. So he has to be what they are and then some. But ultimately, he has to be entertaining, and he has to be the perfect propaganda tool for the Capitol. But as far as one specific talk show host, no. If there were, I wouldn't say, because it would be incredibly insulting, I think.
We always knew the range, the general area in the book where we wanted to split it. We did go back and forth a little bit, sort of within, I would say, 5 or 6 scenes. We kind of bounced around just a little to test the right feeling, but I think I'm really happy with the way this one ends. So I'm pleased with the result. One of the themes for sure is really that you can sort of see the kind of power and the kind of change that just one person can have. I mean, I think, we experience these movies through Katniss's eyes, and I think she's somebody who is, at the beginning of the film, just starting to understand what she means to the rebellion, but still doesn't quite believe it, which I think makes her a very relatable character in the story. And then partway through the movie really starts to understand, oh, wow, I am really important to these people, and I can make a difference. And that's when she finally embraces being the Mockingjay and starting to make a real change. And I think that's one of the important themes and could possibly galvanize kids. Jennifer's character has been through really horrible things. I mean, at the opening of Catching Fire, she had some post-traumatic stress. She has to go through the games again, so obviously she has, even more post-traumatic stress at the beginning of this film. But she's also been betrayed by the people that she trusts. She's in a foreign place. So what she and I would do is really just look at the situation and try and be as honest and as real as possible. And we spent a lot of time talking about the arc of her discovery of what she means to the world, to her world, and how she takes that responsibility on. In terms of losing Phil, it was a horrible, horrible thing. He was a friend. He was a great guy. He's a fantastic actor, and it was something that we never got over. But he was almost done with his work, and we're not doing any kind of digital trickery or anything like that, so that we didn't have too many scheduling issues whatsoever. But it was just something that we, quite honestly, never got over. She's very involved all the way through, and I have to say it's fantastic because she comes from screenwriting and playwriting and TV, so she understands the difference between a novel and a screenplay and how things have to change. She was also really open to and supportive of the world expansion that we've done, so she always thought that was really fun because it's not really a change, it's kind of expanding the story and getting to see things that could have been happening during the course of her book. So she was very open to that, but what she's fantastic at is really tracking all the characters, and she really, really, really knows the characters and their emotional and psychological states. And so if we ever started to sort of get off track a little bit, she was fantastic at sort of being our anchor and bringing us back in with Katniss or with Gale or with anybody. She was a fantastic partner in this.
It's a lot of both. I think for a long time his kind of number one thing has been trying to provide her with as much support as he can, and you see it in any situation. He's constantly trying to protect her and trying to do what's best for her, and especially in this movie, it's all about supporting her and providing as much courage for her as he can, and giving her the courage to kind of stand up and be this Mockingjay. But I think also he has I guess his own stance on the whole thing, and he's willing to do a little bit more than she is, and to go about it in a different way, which is why you see a little bit of conflict between these two in this one, and you start to see a little separation between them because they disagree on how to go about this war, and he's prepared to kind of get a little more violent, I guess, than she is.
This is absolutely the real Finnick. I think the Finnick that you kind of meet in Catching Fire is a facade. He's so used to having a guard up to survive in the capital and everything that he was before. It's his first sort of opportunity to kind of let his emotions shine through. And, he's a very vulnerable, broken human being who hasn't really been able to enjoy life and kind of experience the real life outside the capital. And so, this is the sort of first real insight into his character, the real Finnick. It's really interesting kind of approaching a character for the second time. I think it's the first time I've ever had the opportunity to kind of, revisit a character. And the great thing about this particular character is it felt like a completely different person. So, it never felt like I was repeating myself or picking up from where we left off. It felt like we were starting again and creating a new world with District 13. And so, it was hugely, it was a dream come true, really.
I would never wear anything like that. It would be like wearing this carpet. You couldn't. No,
Just the teeth.
Just
I think
the
you
teeth.
kept the
Yeah,
teeth.
I kept the teeth. Yeah, just for mealtime. No, I didn't keep them. No.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey, you